So this is part A of the Justice for Baby Angel Geronimo editions of KhoodeelaarTV television, being broadcast only on the internet. And this is 1100 hours GMT, 1200 hours UK local time on Sunday, the 12th of September 2021. So we are going to continue by examining the role of Fleet Street as a colluder with the criminals based at and operating through DEFRA, a UK department, central government department in the so-called administration fronted by Boris Johnson. And our focus on Fleet Street remains based on the contents of DEFRA's criminality as condoned and endorsed by Boris Johnson at number 10 Downing Street, and as condoned by the politically murdered Labour Party's political murderer, posing as the leader of the Labour Party, the crook Keir Starmer. So this is the collection of the Fleet Street newspapers. On a Sunday, at the news agents, you pay £19.80, I think, for the following. What are the titles? Fleet Street papers. Anyone watching this from any part of the world, anywhere, should note that we actually pay the cash cover price for the titles. On the titles, I'll read. Sunday People, £1.90, that is UK price, sterling, pound sterling price at this date. Sunday People, £1.90. Sunday Telegraph, £2.50. Mail on Sunday, £1.80. Daily Star Sunday, £1.30. The Times, £3. The Sun on Sunday, £1.30. Sunday Mirror, £1.90. It says Sunday Observer, but it actually should be saying Observer anyway. It's £3.50. That is so far the highest sum. So how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are two titles that are not there. One is the Financial Times and the I newspaper, so-called. So, and the numbers on a weekday now normally 10. On a weekday, there is no Sunday People, because that is, well, People only comes out on Sundays. So that is the price, and we pay the price strictly for the purpose of evidence. We pay the cash price. Now, the headline in the Financial Times piece, byline to this woman, I, Stephanie Boyce, on the 2nd of September. We will talk about that before we go into the examination of the contents of the papers today. Because there is a okay, so she's the author, officially published author of this piece in the Financial Times. And it says it's September 1. But actually, it makes no difference whether it's September 1 or September the 2nd. The essential point is in the headline, respect for the rule of law is in jeopardy in the UK. And that is to do with the role of the judiciary, the legal system, so-called. Now, anyone watching this for the first time must understand that any phrase, any word or wording that we use must be understood, appreciated, and referred to and viewed in the whole context of our world exclusive diagnosis of Fleet Street, which is based on the Fleet Street role as a stooge media, stooging and stooged to the UK regime currently, fronted by Boris Johnson, who has been described by a French ambassador in the UK until she retired, Sylvie Barman, as a congenital liar. These are not statements that we are making by not using the highest standard of rigor, fact-checking. And we don't use any adjective or description without checking the facts and establishing the total verifiability of the facts. So what her article says, failure to uphold legal norms threatens the country's global reputation as well as its economy. Now, this is the subheading which must have been caused by this Lebanese-born woman, Rola Khalaf, who is in post at the Financial Times currently. And both these women, I, Stephanie Boyce, and Rola Khalaf, are tokens of diversity Britain. I say token because neither Stephanie Boyce nor Rola Khalaf is acting independently in those posts, but those posts are exhibitions. And the first part of the heading, respect for the rule of law is in jeopardy in the UK, that is accurate enough. But Rola Khalaf, probably in consultation with the Law Society, has compromised that impact by putting a subheading which is contradictory. Failure to uphold legal norms threatens the country, and then it goes backwards. Instead of acknowledging the corruption and the criminality and the darkness that is evident in the threat to the legal norms and rule of law, it goes all the way backwards to an imperialistic, corrupt assertion of global reputation. And Rola Khalaf, as she has confessed in one comment that has been published by The Guardian, in the wake of the scandal around the Israel-based spying software and project. Khalaf says that the Financial Times is capitalist Bible or Bible of capitalism. So there she is putting the economy, the capitalist economy, as being the potential loser of the failure to uphold legal norms. And that bit, the country's global reputation is entirely criminally conceived glorification of British imperialism. Now that is something that is concerning to what she says in the main heading, or the main kind of first paragraph. I, Stephanie Boyce. Notice the words. Anyone watching this must treat this as a serious event, not as a kind of jobbing routine about reviewing the British press, which no one else does. We are the world exclusive diagnosers of the contents and the role and the corruption of the British mainstream media as typified by Fleet Street. So listen to this. The piece says there is mounting anxiety in the UK legal profession. Now, legal profession is not society. Legal profession is not democracy. Legal profession is not democratically mandated to make a statement that actually suppresses the truth. The fact that this is legal profession and not society, not democracy, upholders or campaigners for democracy, gives the game away. That Stephanie Boyce is writing to serve the interests of the legal profession, which is what we call the licensed law trade, or made up of the licensed law traders, barristers, solicitors, and legal executives. So there is mounting anxiety in the UK legal profession that respect for the rule of law in this country is declining. Now, she doesn't say respect for the rule of law is not being practiced anymore. She says declining. So she's kind of keeping her legs or her feet on both sides. And that is the limitation. So when we say the campaign for justice for baby angel Geronimo, we time the campaign and the analysis within the 4-year framework. And we do that in order to be able to look as extensively and going into as much detail as it is possible No one else is doing this. Keep saying this for the records, not as a brag, not as a boast, not as an unjustifiable kind of reference or assertion. This is at the core of the demand for justice for baby angel Geronimo. Now, baby angel Geronimo is the symbol of universal and universally verifiable, recognizable innocence. And baby angel Geronimo represents in that position all the campaigners for justice for the victims of injustice everywhere. So baby angel Geronimo, over 4 years, has been the target of injustice. Injustice is the extreme violation of all the rights and all the concepts and all the tenets and all the components of justice. And yesterday, we have publicly added the concept of crime against justice. It doesn't involve baby angel Geronimo to have to depend on any human being for the justification for justice that he is owed. Baby angel Geronimo is owed in his right and his rights and has been owed all along. So it's the crime against justice, as well as, and in addition to crimes and conspiracies at other levels and other kind of tiers. So baby angel Geronimo speaks justice, speaks for justice, speaks for all and every known and identifiable and perceptible agent, perpetrator, operator of injustice, criminality, violation. And baby angel Geronimo's identity as the symbol, epitome, embodiment of the demand and assertion, demand for an assertion of justice, encompasses, entails, takes into action and active account all the targets of injustice, all the targets of all the manifestation of injustice, conception, criminality, confections of criminality. I repeat, not conceptions, confections of criminality. Baby angel Geronimo is the first such embodiment for the thousands of years over which this island has existed. So baby angel Geronimo is the symbol of justice. And this piece by I. Stephanie Boyce does kind of aim to recognize some of the injustices, but it doesn't come anywhere near. The I. Stephanie Boyce piece doesn't come anywhere near recognizing the injustice that is being practiced and operated. And the platform being the Financial Times, as I have said, the Lebanese-born The Lebanese Muslim-born Rola Khalaf, who is in the post of the Financial Times current editor, is no more than a diversity token and an agent of the status quo of corruption, criminality, violations, and the robbery of the many that the capitalist system she boasts of is. So the robbery of the many and the injustice to the many and the perpetration of criminality against the many constitute together the agenda and the narrative of the Financial Times, for which reason we world exclusively, renamed the Financial Times as the Financial Crimes, because the Financial Crimes catalogs and lists and peddles the various evil and ills of capitalism as not only the norm, but the norms that should be accepted as proper and as fair, even fair. There is nothing fair in capitalism, and there is nothing fair in the injustice that dominates dark land. These are phrases that we have devised and authored and scripted based entirely on the absolutely impeccably verified facts. Dark land. Here is the list again. If Boris Johnson is, without a doubt, the congenital liar, as he has been described, then all rational references to such an element demand that there must be force or forces actively opposing the occupation in the post as Prime Minister of this congenital liar, for the benefit, for the safety and the sakes of society. But society doesn't exist. Society doesn't exist, as Margaret Thatcher says. There is no such thing as society. So when there is no such thing as society, it is absolutely conceivable that she or her replica or her copy or imitation in that post as Prime Minister would do things that are done against society, which is what is happening. So the third question, or the third kind of issue, is where are the others? Others meaning what happens to the votes? As Winston Churchill says, that democracy is the worst form there is, but it is better than the alternative. I mean, there is a paradox there, very serious, extreme paradox there. And it's a paradox that is only allowed to stand in its place by the absence of morality, ethics, compassion. Because if Churchill actually recognized morality, ethics, and compassion, he would not be talking about democracy as being the worst and the best. He would be talking about the replacement of the corrupt, the criminal excuse that is democracy with a real say, real transparency, accountability, universality, fairness, and justice. But Churchill didn't talk about justice or fairness. So anyone who relies on the kind of lying narrative that Churchill is the symbol of the best of British should stop doing that and start looking at the evidence and start from justice, start with fairness, start with compassion. When we say that the crimes against justice have been ongoing in the targeting of baby angel Geronimo for the last 4 years, we refer to all accessible concepts on the record and going back to and going beyond Aristotle, going back to Aristotle and going beyond Aristotle. The struggle for justice against unjust, oppressive, persecuting holders of positions of power. That struggle has never stopped. But the emphasis, central focus on the complete personification of justice by baby angel Geronimo has not happened, as I said earlier in this edition, ever in the thousands of years that this island called Great Britain as an island, not great in terms of achievement, that is a part of the corrupt propaganda that has been ongoing. So in the thousands of years of people being oppressed, justice being denied by the criminals who have been in posts of criminally abusing posts of power and decision making, there has been no individual personification of any species on this island as the baby angel Geronimo is. So anyone watching this and anyone wondering as to the reasons why we call this justice for baby angel Geronimo has got the answers already so far. And we shall be emphasizing all the relevant topical incidents as we move onwards with the campaign for justice for baby angel Geronimo. There are issues, there are events, and there are anecdotes, and there are evidence, episodic evidence. We shall avoid those except to put on the program the topicality and topical occurrences of references to the baby angel Geronimo. We shall not comment on this one today, most certainly not comment at this stage at all. This is the one that we are looking at. So anyone watching this should expect no comment on this. This is the page 1. This is the page 1 of the Star, the Daily Star on Sunday. And what we shall do, just for purposes of reference, this program is, of course, part of the Khoodeelaar campaign, the movement defending the community in the East End of London, the movement defending the universal values of justice, fairness, accountability, universality, and equality. The values are defended and upheld by the movement defending the community in the East End of London. But those values apply to those who are not physically present, or those who physically don't exist in the geographical area called the East End of London, or East London in the UK. So it is part of our natural commitment and part of our ethical and moral commitment that we are doing the campaign for justice for baby angel Geronimo. What we are doing is sharing our findings we come across in the course of the campaign for justice for baby angel Geronimo. We are sharing this, and hence the television program. We're sharing this for everyone across the globe, because we have checked the occurrences of references to baby angel Geronimo, and we have found no outlet, no platform that has been doing anything over the last 4 years that has not been kind of influenced by the evil, lying, unjust narrative propaganda and contents against the innocence of baby angel Geronimo. Now, as part of the campaign, the concept of justice and the concept of justice against the unjust and corrupt and criminal, evil role and behavior and agenda and purpose of the occupants in the posts of power in dark land, which is what we called England. England in the context of the abusers of power and the liars in posts in so-called government. And what we are doing here is looking at the evidence of the last 4 years as a representative period of the injustice and corruption and criminality by the UK state post holders that are doing the crimes and the criminality. So we go back to the heading for this purpose, just the heading. The heading in the piece byline to I, Stephanie Boyce. Because Stephanie Boyce is not following logically or evidentially, most certainly evidentially, she is not following the kind of terms and the implications of that headline in the Financial Times. And the reason, as I said, is twofold. Stephanie Boyce is in post as the president of the Law Society of England and Wales. So therefore, she is very much a product. That is to say, she is very much depended on and promoted by the status quo, the actual holders of the positions of power in the England and Wales Law Society. So that is one part of the 2.5 part kind of set of reasons why her article doesn't actually tell the whole truth. In fact, it doesn't tell the majority of the truth about the criminals intentionally breaking English law, which is English and Welsh Law Society, but the essential power is exerted by the English side. And the English components, they don't represent the English ordinary people. Remember what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the English ordinary people. I'm talking about the criminals in posts in the name of the English residents or English people, and especially not the majority of the people in England. So what she's doing, Stephanie Boyce, is talking about the rule of law being broken by the UK state. But then she's compromising her statement of concern by failing to elaborate on and detail the facts of how the rule of law is being broken. Take a pause there and look at the piece again. So it's obviously something that has been created by a committee. It could not have been created by her, Stephanie Boyce, Stephanie Boyce herself, individually, personally. She has lent her name as a diversity exhibit to that piece. And she has done that on behalf of the status quo, the bureaucracy in the Law Society of England and Wales. So although she is described as coming from a background in the Caribbean, both her parents are Caribbean background, she has not been put in that position because of her commitment for justice. She is in that position, Stephanie Boyce, mainly to serve as an exhibit, diversity exhibit. And the fact that her name, instead of another member of the Law Society of England and Wales, has been used as the author of that piece about rule of law, is again to use her diversity as part of the bargaining, the professional bargaining between the UK state and the legal profession. It's the legal profession that is the one that she is actually advocating for. So we are talking about diversity as an unethical an immoral, opportunistic absurdity. It's not a morality or ethics or universal equality, and most certainly not for justice. Because in the rest of the piece, in the actual body of the piece that appeared in the Financial Times in her name, I, Stephanie Boyce, does not discuss the absence of morality, the absence of accountability by any part of the legal profession she talks about. The legal profession, of course, is dominated, if not wholly, but dominated in the main by the licensed law trading barristers and the licensed law trading solicitors. And she is not. I, Stephanie Boyce, the current president of the Law Society of England and Wales, is not in the business of championing independent, ethical, and moral cause for justice. And she is not going to even refer to racism. Now, how absurd we move from the personification of Baby Angel Geronimo as justice, as a campaigner for justice. How about today, Sunday's racist Fleet Street papers, almost all of them, or almost all of them, shamelessly, brazenly claiming that this champion is Britain's new hero. But she is not Britain's new hero. This child, 18-year-old, is actually a migrant. She is not Britain's hero. Because she won't be allowed to sink in the channel while struggling to cross the channel into Britain. Amazing, isn't it? So we shall refer to Baby Angel Geronimo and Emma Raducanu. Emma Raducanu and Baby Angel Geronimo are two migrants. The two migrants to England. And they sum up the answer, overdue answer. Together, they sum up the overdue answer to evil that dominates England. So Baby Angel Geronimo and Emma Raducanu are the answers to the darkness, dark land. England is dark land. Evil has taken hold of England. Even as Emma Raducanu, this is the Telegraph, this is the Mail on Sunday, and this is the Sunday People. And this is the Murdoch scum. And what is happening there is that while all these papers are, including this is the Sunday Mirror, all the papers are celebrating Emma Raducanu. Another migrant, can you imagine the absolute central placing of migrants in the context of fighting evil in Darkland, England? Because this other migrant, where she just about a migrant because she's a child of migrant parents. She is doing the darkness. And that concept of rules, breaking the rules by the British state. Remember the piece in the Financial Times by Stephanie Boyce. The UK state is breaking rules. And the breaker of the rules is another migrant. So what that shows is that the central players in the badness, which is Priti Patel, and in the campaign to break the evil, Baby Angel Geronimo and Emma Raducanu are migrants. Here is the residue of the criminal racist denial, residue left behind by the criminal racist liar crook, evil personification, Beaverbrook and his Sunday Express, hiding the fact that this 18-year-old child is a migrant. This Express is the criminal's platform, habitually overdoes the lying anti-migrant tirades of nasty Nigel criminal Farage and any other convert to the racist propaganda like George Galloway, who at the by-election caused by the then Labour MP by-election in Peterborough, George Galloway appeared to be threatening the Labour Party, so-called the Labour Party name. Remember, we said that politically, Labour Party has been murdered by Starmer. So Galloway was threatening the Labour Party at the Peterborough by-election. And Galloway was not doing this on behalf of the people of Palestine, which he claims to champion. Galloway was doing this as a politically shameless creep trying to get endorsed by nasty racist anti-Muslim Nigel Farage. Even the nasty racist anti-Muslim Nigel Farage said no to George Galloway. Now remember, this program, this campaign is on the record as having salvaged George Galloway's political career. In 2006, when George Galloway was almost bound to be replaced by a hastily held by-election in Bethnal Green and Bow. He would have been replaced. He would have been kicked out by all parts of the constituency's voters. But we intervened. The Khoodeelaar campaign intervened. And our intervention will outlive him and outlast him and all his racist, criminal advisors of the time. Because his racist, criminal advisors chose to maintain absolute silence publicly. When Tony Blair and his local agents in Tower Hamlets in Bethnal Green and Bow closed in, and he was almost about to be the subject of a recall election. And if that election were to take place, George Galloway would be absolutely toast. We knew that because we were defending the community. Unlike George Galloway, we were defending it then and we are defending it now, and we have been defending it even before anyone ever heard of George Galloway in the constituency. George Galloway was not the logical or natural selection as a winning candidate for the Bethnal Green Bow election in 2005. The community let him in by default. And the default was created the default there in May 2005 was created by the so-called sitting MP who had challenged the electors, the campaigning electors who had said that Una King, that's the name of the sitting incumbent in the post of MP for Bethnal Green and Bow, that Una King had voted against the preferred way that the vast majority of the constituents wanted her to vote over the issue of the rights of the people of Palestine. And Una King had said words to the effect that the voters, if they don't like what she was doing, they can go to hell, and they can. She showed two fingers. Faced with such behavior, the voters had no option. And by voters, we mean our campaign included, had redoubled our efforts to make sure that Una King got kicked out at the election. Whoever got in was not the main issue. The main issue was to kick Una King out, which she was. And as a result of that, there was this phenomenal kind of replacement of her by somebody called George Galloway. As we have said on the facts, while he was in post, for one term, that is May 2005 to May 2010. George Galloway, during that period, George Galloway took part in tabling or supporting what in the UK House of Commons called the early day motions. And the early day motions are more often than not, they are the symptoms, they are tokens of somebody's position on a particular issue. And early day motions don't even represent any consistency. But what they do constitute is evidence of a particular member of parliament's kind of attention to issues while they're incumbent in that post. Remember, we're talking about the state breaking the law. And this is part of the justice for Baby Angel Geronimo editions of the Khoodeelaar campaign. And we are expanding, we are explaining, we are giving details of how justice is denied, or justice is thwarted, justice is betrayed by members of parliament, who are also members of the particular so-called government. So anyone who wants to understand the depth of our engagement and dedication in examining the evidence of injustice must do so with this clarifier that I have just stated. Because while I'm doing the analysis about George Galloway, there is this piece I'm holding of the Sunday Times today, where Brenda, that is the name we use for the monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, both her sons are in trouble in the news today. But this one is the eldest one and the one almost certainly going to sit in the so-called throne as her successor. And the fact that Charles Bryan actually agreed to meet a corrupt Russian donor is not a speculation that we are making. The Sunday Times is publishing that without any quotation marks. So that is the state of decay and corruption and darkness that dominates this country. And they have published the letter signed by Bryan, that is Charles, on the 18th of May 2020. That was just over a year ago. So the fact that Stephanie Boyce, says that legal profession is very concerned about the UK state breaking the law. The law or legality are being broken not by just the state outside of the monarchy, but the state with the monarchy, as this piece exposes. And what is happening with the And the Daily Star, which is the Star on Sunday, has eventually admits that DEFRA has been committing crimes. It does admit that DEFRA has been committing crimes, and it has got the front page, it has got a so-called editorial, and it has got a so-called item, news item. We are not going into the contents of any of those. This is the particular kind of admission to what I, Stephanie Boyce, has been happening. Now, neither I, Stephanie Boyce, nor the Daily Star on Sunday has published anything in the last 4 years about baby angel Geronimo being targeted by the crooks and criminals in the regime that is fronted, the evil regime, the dark land regime that is fronted by Boris Johnson. So that's the difference. For thousands of years, there has been no symbol as baby angel Geronimo, symbol for justice against the criminality done by the state. And that actually shows the criminality and the criminal identity of the state and its evil participants. Because if the participants were not evil themselves, there would have been justice there would have been action against the criminal unjust agenda perpetrated over the last 4 years by the evildoers at DEFRA, and rubber stamped by the series of criminally active, corruptly active, unjustly active holders of positions as judges. And there would have been an end to the evil regime. But there has been absolutely no point for justice made by any of the incumbents in the posts, either in the judiciary or in the media or in parliament outside of the so-called government or inside the so-called government. That is bad enough, unjust enough. But when the pliant, corrupt role of Justin, the darkness, the Justin, the evildoer, will-be, is added as a trumpeter of the lies as he has been serving from time to time, serving the role of the trumpeter for the lies and the wrongdoings. There is nothing left in context of morality and in terms of justice. To be examined before concluding that this is evil land, dark land. So the dark land, England, is, as I said, plunged in darkness because it is being fronted by the congenital liar Johnson, who is being backed by the evil, selfish criminal Keir Starmer. And the evil, selfish criminal Keir Starmer is peddled, corruptly peddled by the evil criminal controlling the website called Wikipedia, which claims that the criminal, evildoer, Keir Starmer, belongs to a chamber which he helped set up, the Matrix Chamber of Licensed Law Trading Barristers. This has been repeated yesterday in the I newspaper by Paul Waugh, W-A-U-G-H, Waugh. Not clear whether this Waugh is related to the English novelist Evelyn Waugh, but this Waugh is employed by the Huffington Post. And this Waugh yesterday stated a pack of lies in peddling Starmer by using words to the effect that Starmer was or had been one of the founders of the Matrix Chambers of the Licensed Law Trading Barristers, which, claimed Paul Waugh, takes on cases, including cases for no fees. Now, as I said, I'm the one who reads newspapers the most. I'm the only one that I know who reads all the newspapers, and I've been reading the newspapers for a very long time. I have yet to come across one single point or incident where any chamber, matrix chambers or not, of licensed law traders has really taken on serious, substantial cases for justice at no fees. So Starmer, the criminal, is being given the boost by the likes of Paul Waugh. But Starmer is an evildoer, and the evildoing was exposed when Starmer was reportedly supporting the attack against baby angel Geronimo. Now, Starmer is not a scientist, and Starmer is not a trained scientist that can be allowed to make a comment about the state of health of the baby angel Geronimo. So before Starmer went along with the plot against baby angel Geronimo, Starmer was under a clear duty or under a clear series of duties to seek the evidence on which the original criminals based at DEFRA or operating through DEFRA had been confecting and manufacturing the plot against baby angel Geronimo. And he didn't. So, in the context of the crime against justice, the criminal, Keir Starmer, has committed several crimes against justice. In his failure, in his choice, in his negligent choice to support the plot against the innocent baby angel Geronimo. So Starmer is prejudiced, lethally prejudiced against justice. And Starmer should be put out of the post or call. And then Starmer should be prosecuted for crime against justice, as should every single criminal who has done any plot, any part of the plot against the absolutely innocent baby angel Geronimo. All the criminals must be prosecuted for crimes against justice. And they should be prosecuted under the crimes against justice, in addition to other crimes they have committed against baby angel Geronimo and against the rule of law, due process, and constitutionality. Now let's look at the front pages of all these papers. The front page, of course, the Charles breaking the law and involved in corruption. And this one, as we have said, we are only showing this, we are not discussing this at this moment. And the Observer has got Emma. Beaverbrook has got Emma. The Mirror has got Emma, and of course, the only one to have Priti Patel as well. The Murdoch Scum has got Emma. And the Sunday People has got Emma. The Daily Mail on Sunday has got Emma. And the Sunday version of the Daily Bribing Boris Johnson Telegraph has got Emma. Now we go to and Emma is also, of course, featured in the sport supplements. So what they're doing with these particular kind of tag that they are using about Emma Raducanu. So she's the British heroine, which is fine, except that that's not the truth. The truth is that she's a child who is a migrant. And that is her ethnic identity. So she's and we'll talk about the Wikipedia lies. She was born in Canada. She was born in Canada to parents from Romania and China. And she attributed her mentality and her ethics to her tennis idols, Simona Halep and Li Na, both from countries of her ancestry. Both of her parents work in the finance sector. Her family moved to England when she was 2 years old. Raducanu started playing tennis at the age of 5. She attended Newstead Wood School, a selective grammar school in the London borough of Bromley, where she obtained an A in mathematics and an A in economics in her A levels. Anyway, so this is somebody who is of Romanian and Chinese ancestry. Two of our parents, one is Romanian and one is Chinese. But there is no mention of this in any of the front page boasts about her victory in the US singles. And the Sunday Times subheading under the heading Incredible is 18-year-old Raducanu stuns tennis and the nation with US Open triumph. There should be mention of 3 nations: Romania, China, and of course the UK. But they don't mention the Romanians, they don't mention the Chinese. And what they say is the greatest moment for British tennis. Not for a child produced by parents of Chinese and Romanian identity and background and origins. She is a truly ethnically, racially representative person of so many ethnicities. But Fleet Street is in denial, is lying, and doing it racistly and unjustly. And we shall be elaborating on Emma Raducanu in future editions, upgrades. Back to the campaign for justice for baby angel Geronimo. What we are doing in these editions, we are adding every day, factually, topically, but essentially our focus remains on the 4 years. And we describe the injustice by declaring on the evidence of the behavior of the Boris Johnson-fronted evil cabal, the unending criminality and denial and lying that the DEFRA outfit has been engaged in criminally. To attack an innocent Geronimo, baby angel Geronimo, is a crime in every definition. Every aspect of crime and criminality. If they can deny her ethnicity, even at this stage, they can deny everything. So that is what the Fleet Street media has been doing. Guilty of lying. They have been lying as brazenly against Geronimo as they have been denying as brazenly the identity and the achievement of this migrant child, whom they are shamelessly claiming, without quotation marks, without any condition, as being Britain's biggest achiever, sporting achiever. They're calling this the moment for the greatest moment, not just one great moment, but the greatest moment achieved by a migrant child. But they're refusing to recognize her being a migrant. They're even giving this the American dream, not the migrant dream. So we present the evidence of the wanton, intentional, racist denial by the Fleet Street papers and the rest of the media. As we said, that the lying peddled by Fleet Street in denial of the innocence of baby angel Geronimo is part of the same agenda of evil. And as we say, we all the genuine supporters of justice for Geronimo would support and understand the demand that all the criminals should be prosecuted for crimes against justice. And we shall continue the campaign demanding justice for baby angel Geronimo.